I made a video game. That video game was to celebrate this channel passing 1,000 subscribers. In the video about that video game, I mentioned that I'd come back at 2,000 subscribers and make something with 2,000 people in it. This was, in retrospect, a mistake. I wasn't expecting to have to do that after 2 weeks, but a promise is a promise. So, let's talk game design. Obviously, the first thing I need to do is get 2,000 of something on one screen. I might have mentioned this before, but I use ClickTeam Fusion 2.5, which, as an engine, is held together with sticky tape and chewing gum, and not the nice kind of chewing gum. Chewing gum your grandma bought in 1953 and left down the back of the sofa. I know that I'm making my main project in this engine, but it's entirely due to familiarity. I've been making games in ClickTeam products for a very long time, and although I'm not against moving to something else, at this point it'd be a massive undertaking that would really delay the ability to actually finish something. It's like keeping a rundown old car because you know exactly how much pressure to apply to the brakes to make them work. Sure, you could just get a new car, but that'd take a lot of effort, so it's much easier to just turn every intersection into a gamble of life or death. In case you can't tell, I don't recommend Fusion 2.5 to new developers. So, can we get 2,000 things to spawn in a Fusion scene? No, apparently not. Right now it caps out at 1,000, but that's because by default, Fusion limits your number of active objects in a level to 1,000, which is a bit like that broken old car from before limiting your speed to 30 miles an hour. Clearly it doesn't have any faith in me. This is the part where, rather than just bump it up to 2,000 and get on with it, I decided to drive this broken car as fast as I could down the wrong side of the highway, with my eyes closed and my hands off the wheel. Turns out the maximum setting for actives per frame is 30,000. Now it'd be irresponsible and damn near idiotic to try and hit the 30k cap, wouldn't it? That went well, but I still consider it a success because, as it turns out, despite all this, it still runs better than Cyberpunk 2077 on a standard PlayStation 4. Right, back to making something feasible. We'll set the limit to 2020 because A, I need extra room to run something other than the players bobbing around, and 2, nothing says 2020 like a chugging wreck of a game that's threatening to set my house on fire. I'm aware it doesn't exactly look as good as Fortnite, but in my defense, I am very lazy. Right, now what's a battle royale without a severe amount of death? With a single event, we'll make it so that if 2 players collide, they both immediately die. You know, just like in real life. So now we have near green guy genocide, which is great. But the problem is, the players are so small that when we get below 250 or so, the game's going to go on forever. Just 250 little dudes wandering around aimlessly waiting for their long-term but inevitable death. You know, just like in real life. There's also the problem that right now, a collision wipes out both players involved, so we're going to end up with either 2 winners or no winners. And a battle royale needs 1 winner, in the words of that great philosopher Clancy Brown.
There can be only one!
So what we're going to do is change the rules. Now, when 2 players collide in the first phase, one of them is picked at random and destroyed. In most battle royales, at least some degree of your success is down to chance. Yes folks, even in a video as stupid as this one, we are actually talking about game design. The opening of a battle royale is about dropping in the right place, getting the right weapons, being fortunate enough to gather up enough ammo, and whatever else you need to power yourself up for the end game. So survival in the beginning depends almost entirely on a 50-50 coin flip. But let's say you do survive and make it to the last 250, then things get serious. Much like in other battle royales, the end game is the part where skill tends to take over. Sure, you can still win by luck and good fortune, but this is where we see people with actual skill and ability edge ahead, and score consistent wins that can earn them obscene amounts of money on Twitch. We want our players to dream of some of those big esports bucks, so we're going to shift things to be slightly more skill based. In a real battle royale, there's always the ever-present threat of the environment closing in on you. This forces the players into a smaller and smaller radius, which means games have to end in a pretty reasonable time one way or another. We're going to combine this with skill and chance to push our unfortunate green survivors to their final destination. This is a shockwave. Thankfully, by the time we're down to 250 players, Fusion has stopped trying to explode every CPU in a 10-mile radius, and can kind of handle what's going on. So now, it has the resources available to do this. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but what's happening here is a shockwave of bullets is wiping out anything in the vicinity in a fluorescent rainbow cavalcade of death. You know, just like in real life. What we'll also do is give our players a ruthless killer instinct. If they're within 300 pixels of the shockwave pickup, they'll swarm towards it, hell-bent on exploding their green brethren in the name of glory and domination. Wholesome. Then we'll speed them up to ramp up the excitement. Sometimes this breaks, but sometimes your banged up old car with brakes that don't work will crash into your neighbour's fence and kill their beloved family goat. Sometimes these things just happen. Now I know what you're thinking. Yes, Zane, there are 2,000 entities, 2,000 active objects, but they're not 2,000 players, are they? These aren't controllable characters, you clickbaiting sack of lies. Yes, okay, that's a fair point. Right now you can't control any of them, it's basically a screensaver. So let's fix that. At the start of the game, all of our players spawn in. The game doesn't start until you click Game On.
Game on! Game on!
Before that, you can now click on any one of the little green dudes, and they'll turn into a little red dude. This is you. Now when you click Game On,
Game on! Game on! Game on!
you'll be controlling the little red dude. They'll follow your cursor, which will now appear as a little white square, which means chaos, actually, just a lot of chaos, and a nearly impossible game. But it really does have the same level of chaos and randomness as a battle royale, and technically, because you can click on any one of the 2,000 little green dudes, they are all players. So technically I haven't clickbaited you, and technically you can't be mad at me. As a final flourish, and because some men just want to watch the world burn, I decided to add blood particles. Because of course I did. It went about as well as expected, but eventually the game recovers, and I think the 10 frames per second opening is a great way to replicate the madness of the opening stages of a round in a battle royale, so we're keeping it. Unsurprisingly, I don't really recommend that you play this one, because the frame rate will probably struggle to stay above a PowerPoint presentation, but if you really want to, it is up on itch.io and the link is in the description. Just to make you aware, there is no sound or music, because I dread to think what this kind of performance would do to any audio that I put in, and I'm not going to shatter your eardrums with glitchy music and about 200 death noises playing at once. See how I care about you? If anyone does actually manage to win a round, which I haven't done yet, then please let me know, because I'm not entirely sure it's possible. Of course, what's equally possible is that I'm just awful at my own game, which happens more often than I'd care to admit. Now, this is going to sound like a humble brag, but I clearly underestimated how quickly I'd hit 2,000 subscribers. Oh no, how terrible for me, etc. But if I want my channel to be more than just a subscriber milestone video every 2 weeks, I should probably set some loftier goals. So the next milestone video will have to be at 5,000 subscribers. I've got no idea what I'm going to do for that, but if you'd like to speed up the process, then you should probably subscribe. And like the video if you liked the video. And yes, I promise the next devlog episode is coming soon. It's just that it's a really big one, and oh no, how awful for me, I'm stuck making subscriber milestone videos and playing Cyberpunk. So you know, I'm clearly suffering right now. Thank you so much for getting me here. It is amazing, and I'm grateful for having you all here with me. My comment sections are always the nicest, most helpful and supportive people on YouTube, which does amazing things for my ego, so please do keep that up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you the next time I'm thinking, hey, let's talk game design.